Welcome to round 4 action, I should say, of the ANZCRL Ferrari 355 Challenge here at Imola. If you missed out on race 3 that happened just a few minutes ago, Chuck Racing, another commanding victory for him. That makes it 3 in a row for him in this championship, with Squid second, Shad's third, Taipan fourth, AJD in fifth, and Dado Racer finished sixth. Dark Racing missed out on the start due to his game glitching out. He didn't have any options in the menu apart from retire and spectate when in the pre-race menu, which very unfortunate for him. Hopefully he can bounce back in this race and score some good points. Would have started third, I think, Darky, in the last race, so he would have done a very good job. As you see, cars entering the track now for this practice session. Oh, what is going on here? AJ and I think that's Taipan squabbling over some real estate. Of course, this is 7 in the morning set at the moment. Medium cloud weather, and yeah, these guys would be doing some final checks before we get into qualifying, just trying and try to get their cars set up properly for the races as AJ's returned to the pits. So we'll look at that Taipan now. Says my stream is saying round 3, but definitely round 4 action here. Round 3 was at Monaco, which was proved to be a very tough race, and the guys were driving very conservatively, trying to get to the end, which they all did. Well, apart from the epic battle we saw for AJD and Dado as for second last place, which was fun to watch. This guy had a pretty tame race around Monaco, sort of just sat in no man's land, so he'll be looking to try and push his case for a podium in this one. Of course, coming into this championship, he was the #1 ranked driver for ANZCRL. But I think after Chuck's display last week, he might have dropped down to second, not quite sure. But of course, with this being a sideways for Taipan going through turn 1, but as this is just the one championship, we are running 2 lobbies, but they all combined for the one set of results. It could oh my god, Taipan doing bloody JDM at the moment. Doing some stylish driving, which looks spectacular, but it's not going to translate to lap time, unfortunately. But I could see guys like Taipan, who dominated in the Open Championship for our V8 Supercars tour, might find it, or definitely will find it, harder going up against the guys of the likes of Chuck Racing, Uncrewed Squid, and Shads. Of course, those 3 typically the best of the best when it comes to all the championships that we run. Both do plenty of practice and are very good at setting up the cars, so very tough to beat them, but Taipan will be looking to put it right up against them. AJ, because he reset to the pits, currently first time on the board, done 2:10. This is a very long lap time, or very long lap for these cars. Bit over the 2-minute mark, I want to say. So, yeah, going to be tough to get laps in around here. You can't afford to make a mistake, as a single mistake will see your lap invalidated, and that will. And once you miss out on a couple of laps, it's going to put you right behind the 8 ball. Is Squid's done to 55.9, Taipan to 59 flat, and straight into the pits. So very interesting that we're into the 55s already, so maybe lap time's faster than I first thought. Of course I haven't done any running around here so far. But we will see how we go. Squid, trying to follow on, see if maybe doing a race run. We'll see by looking at the speedo. And yeah, he's got a lot of fuel in the car, so he's going for a race run, but he had to slow down. Maybe he got a slow down penalty as he's going now. Oh, sideways on exit, gone through that chicane there. Very tough circuit this one. The chicanes can actually provide a bit of a challenge, which is rare for a circuit, but this is such an old track, this Imola circuit, and provides a very good challenge that is almost unrivaled anywhere in the world. Perhaps tracks that I would say would tackle this would be the Nürburgring, Bathurst, Le Mans. Tracks that have zero consequences, as is this one. In fact, this first chicane that Squid's coming up to now is actually installed because the old Tamburello corner was so fast and so dangerous that eventually resulted in the death of one Ayrton Senna back in 1994. In fact, in this section here, actually, oh, there's a car spun. Is that Dado Racer? I want to say. There's Dado. It wasn't him. Might have been Chuck actually. But as I was saying, yeah, the second chicane is sort of the site where Roland Ratzenberger passed away as well. I want to say during the qualifying session of that '94 San Marino Grand Prix, which is why this track has got those chicanes. Used to be a very fast circuit around here and very tough on the drivers, so but even with those chicanes introduced, it's still a very tough circuit to master, especially in these cars. Not a lot of grip in them. As you see, the drivers are often sliding around these corners. Oh, very wide for Squid going around that final corner. Into Tamburello goes Squid. Because doing a race run at the moment, trying to get as many laps as he can as possible, try and get used to the circuit and see if he can get enough grip. Oh, that car is right on the edge of disaster at the moment, as will most of these drivers be. See, Darky and Chuck still in the pits. Actually, Chuck's entering the track now. Hasn't set a lap yet, but 30 litres of fuel on board, so he's going to do a long run as well. So we'll see what his race pace is like as we jump on with Shads at the moment. Also doing what looks like a race run. 56.4, which improves on his lap time. He was on in 1 minute 57s before he set that time. Sideways through Tamburello, and he's pulled into the pit lane now to regroup. Jump on with Taipan going around the last corner now into the long run through turn 1 to turn 1. Used to be a of course the characteristics here have changed over the last few years. They got rid of the final chicane that used to be there to make just one long run down here to the Tamburello chicane, sideways for Taipan through Tamburello. And yeah, the very tough circuit to drive for these guys. As Taipan looks like he's doing a quali run, not much fuel on board with 4 minutes left in this practice session. Surprised he's doing a quali run, but maybe he needs to do some practice. In fact, his engine is running very hot. He's closed the engine right off. I wonder how much engine damage he could be getting. Wonder if he's even looking for it. Because if he keeps running that engine that hot, he's going to blow it up soon. Very worrying signs indeed. Oh, very squirmy. Yeah, that engine temperature over 141 now. That is worrying signs indeed. For even in qualifying, you don't want to be running the engine that hot. I'm expecting to pull into the pits at the end of this lap, but well, fingers are crossed that he can hold on. That engine hovering up over the 140s now, so I'm a bit nervous to see if he can make it. So if you're just tuning in, this is the ANZCRL Ferrari 355 challenge. This is round 4. If you've missed the previous 3 rounds, it's been chuck racing all the way. You're currently sitting 5th in this practice session, but he's won the first 3 rounds. First one was at Monaco. No, the first one, sorry, was at Monza in the wet. Very tough conditions, but Chuck wasn't happy with how he drove in the in our Daytona 24-hour race, and has come back with a vengeance. He dominated round 1, dominated round 2, which round 2 was held at the Catalonia National Circuit, and he's dominated just 15 minutes ago or 20 minutes ago when he finished the Monaco race for round 3, over 20 seconds ahead of second place Squid, who Squid had a tough time in the first 2 rounds but bounced back quite well. In fact, he's very close on track to Shads at the moment. Very interesting. In fact, these guys, I guess these guys are practicing racing. Doing some race practice for what they could be doing in just a few moments time after we get through qualifying. 1 minute left in this practice session and Squid's looking for a move. This is some exciting action in this practice session. I'm shocked that they're doing this. Usually you just run by yourself and just try and get some consistent laps in, but yeah, it looks like these guys want to practice their racecraft a little bit. But it looks like Squid's backed off now. Was he flashing his lights there? Bit cheekily. Oh, on the grass there, and he spun. That's what you cannot afford to do, especially in any car really, but especially these ones. I wouldn't be driving backwards too long, Squid, because you can get disqualified. But yeah, just you saw there, just 2 wheels on the grass, and that was all she wrote, and around she went. Any car is not good if you're braking on the grass, but particularly these ones. Not very much aerodynamic grip, these cars. Well, these cars lack a lot of aerodynamic grip once I get my English correct. So, yeah, very slidey these cars, particularly around this circuit. A lot of medium to high speed corners around here. As there we go, the time has run out for practice, so these guys crossing the finish line will be, well, Shad's here. He's probably one of the last to set a lap in his practice session, so we'll jump on board with him. And probably won't see just how slidey this is, but you can see the cars are struggling right on the edge of disaster. Not much aerodynamic grip. As I keep saying in these cars, not much mechanical grip either. These cars were built in the 1990s, based off the Ferrari 355 body per se. Tuned a bit to race, but only about 350 horsepower in these cars, so not much. Well, not as much as you would expect from a V8 engine, so it has provided a lot of close racing so far in this championship. We're getting close to halfway through. These cars are set up this base car is set up very soft. You can't really stiffen the car up enough. Because of the chassis, because it's a very old chassis, and this car struggled quite a bit. A lot of roll. Through the final corner goes Shads. Here we're looking to see how he goes, as Chuck is actually set in a 1:54.8. As there's the old finish line there, I want to say. Across the line. Dark Racing, has he left the session again? In fact, he has. Tough break for him so far tonight. Can't quite. In fact, I'm going to try to see if I can send him an invite. He's not online. That's unfortunate for Darky. He had a few connection issues last week as well. And was able to drive in the second lobby and pick up some valuable points, but tonight struggles once again. And a very tough break for Darky, as he's been very consistent so far. I think he came into these two races tonight in third place in the championship. We have a look at AJ. Looks like he's the first car out on track. And the Squid close behind. Just a 10-minute session for these guys. So these guys will be hoping to get some good clean laps in. Ran just short of a 2-minute lap time around here, so very long lap, and if you make a mistake it could prove costly. You see Squid trying to warm those tyres up. They can be quite cold to start with if you're not careful. I'm actually going to go into Squid Cam, because I reckon Chuck Racing is behind Squid and could catch him up if he puts together a blistering lap. In fact, yep, there it is. There it is, Chuck Racing. Getting very close to Squid. Now these two have been pretty close tonight. In fact, yep, there it is, Squid. No, sorry, Chuck. Backing off, trying to give himself as much room as possible. As we're actually going to ride on the roof of Squid's car. A very long run down to the start line. They removed or reprofiled the chicane that was at the entrance of the pit lane a few years ago. Making just one long run here to Tamborelli, where you've got to really balance the car. But as I was saying about that final chicane, they removed it for car racing, but they installed a small chicane for bike racing so that the bikes are not carrying too much speed into Tamborelli. As Squid now enters the second chicane now. Oh, very sideways and up and over the curb. That would be a slowdown. This lap won't be as quick as what Chuck will have wanted. But a solid run now up towards this fast left-hander. Can't quite remember the name of it. Into third gear, almost getting on the grass. He's right on the edge. Now there used to be a chicane here, but they removed it when they redid the track in after the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix. Got through the double right-hander left pretty smoothly enough now to this tight chicane. The slowest section on the circuit nowadays, I reckon. If you don't count the final two corners, that is. Got through there pretty smoothly. Got to hit the curbs just right so that you're not going too airborne to lose time. Now through into the second last corner. This is probably the toughest braking zone of, or almost the toughest braking zone in the world. It's so easy to lock the rears there. Through the final corner now. It's been a pretty tidy lap for Chuck. AJ's back in the pit, so he's not going to be the first one to set a lap. That credit will go to Squid, will it? Or has he invalid? Yep, no, Squid's done a 55.9. Chuck goes fastest 54.4. It's a good start for Chuck Racing so far, as Taipan about to finish his lap. He's done a 57.5. He won't be too pleased with that. I reckon he's made a couple of mistakes there. Shad's gone through the that slow chicane, rather, on the run to the second to last corner. This is the toughest braking zone, because you're sort of hitting the brakes as you're going around that right-hander. It's downhill, so it's so easy to run wide there. And if you're braking as you're turning right, you can lock the rears so easy and can pivot the car around. But looks pretty clean for Shads to finish the lap. Now run to the line. A very long run to the line. Is a very big grid area. As he crosses the line, where does he go? He goes third fastest. He's done a 56.2. Not a bad showing from Shads to start with. Well, definitely would like to go quicker, I would imagine. But Sydney third won't be the end of the world for Shads. Now Squid, going through the last couple of corners now. He'll be trying to get close to the 54s. Looks like Chuck's been gaining on him. Chuck, I reckon's done a ripper of a lap so far. But Squid, run to the line. Past the finish line and heads towards the start line where our timing marker is. He's done a 54.6. Still second place. And Chuck has bridged the gap out. He's done a 53.5. Chuck is just flying in this championship. Can anyone catch him? That is the question. He's proving himself to be proven to be very fast, very determined, and not many people seem to be able to catch him as Dado. I'm guessing he's just done an out lap. Yeah, he has. Now he's crossing the line now with 2 minutes 50 to go. Can he improve his time? He's done 2:14, so he must be making a few mistakes here. He's losing a lot of time to the rest of the guys. AJ's on the lap. Right up on the curb. Sitting in last place at the moment, but I think that 2:5 was just an outlap. We'll wait and see. Should jump on Taipan. Also going through the second chicane. Not quite as wide as what AJ was just then, which might prove to be to his advantage. Again, he's running his radiator quite blocked off, so he's trying to get a gain in straight line speed relative to the rest of the drivers. If you run the engine too hot, you get engine damage. If you get engine damage, that hurts your straight line speed. So it's a fine balancing act that you got to do in relation to your radiator opening. And if he damages his engine at this early part of qualifying, that could really hurt him. In fact, his engine is up to 125 degrees now. I'm not sure I agree with this strategy. We'll jump on with Shads, and Shads is only running at 85 degrees. So Shads could actually block his radiator off, unless he's coming to the pits when I haven't noticed and come in. In fact, that engine temperature is going up, so I think he's just returned to track. Chuck and Squid are happy with their times, and they've come to the pits and will not, and will miss out on doing another lap. As same with Dado. Dado looks like he's going to be starting in last place. Shads, Taipan and AJ, the only drivers on track, as Shads is actually into the pits. His qualifying is done. Taipan crosses the finish line. He will have one last lap or maybe not. His engine temperature is at 136 degrees. He's only done a 157. That engine temperature is not looking good. AJ, his temperatures are around 110. He's got that balancing act pretty well, but there's a lot of fuel in that car. He could probably deal with having maybe 10 litres out, as that extra fuel would be hurting him, as he's actually going in that fast left-handers. He's got a reasonable amount to go. But he could cost himself a bit of time in straight line speed just by having too much fuel in the car. As he heads towards this slow chicane at the back of the circuit. Down to second gear. Not using much of the curbs there, so trying to keep the car on the black stuff. And typically if you do that, you can gain a fair bit of lap time than someone who's monstering the curb. Into this tough braking zone for the second to last corner. But he pulls the car up, gets the car turned in. Looks pretty solid. A lot of curb use for the last corner, right out onto the exit curb. Now on the run down to the final corner, Taipan's pulled into the pit lane. He's not going to improve, so AJ is the last guy to cross the finish line. Can he improve? We'll have to wait and see until the results screen, as qualifying is now over. Chuck Racing first, a 52.8 with a ripper lap from Squid in second, 54.6. Shad's third with the 56.2, Taipan fourth, the 57.2. AJD was not able to improve. He did a 159, and Dado is going to start last. He did a 2-minute 1. So Dado's had a tough time in this session so far. As Darky, tough race for him. He's missed out on both races tonight, so internet issues plaguing him. I'm not sure if it's internet or hardware, but whatever it is, it's cost him dearly tonight. But getting set to start this race. 11 laps here around Imola. And Chuck Racing has been the dominant driver so far. He's had just a class act all around. Brilliant pace, and he's been getting off the line really well so far. Can he keep up his good starting form? Excuse me for that. But just waiting on the guys to sort their setups out, sort out their strategies for if any mishaps happen. Of course, it should just be an 11 lap sprint from start to finish. Looks like Squid's running with a bit more fuel than what Chuck is. We'll just have to wait and see how that plays out when we go to green flag racing. Alright, the lights are up. We actually got lights on the stream for this race. The lights are green and we're off. And Chucky hasn't made the start. Chucky has missed the start. He might have had the similar issue to what Darky had in the first race. Now it's going to be Chuck leading from Shads, Taipan, Dado and AJ. So all of a sudden this championship is blown right open now. What an amazing turn of events. And we're going to have our first different race winner. And Squid will be licking his lips at the moment, as Chuck is now disconnected. So we've got a 5-car race with Squid, followed by Shads, then Taipan, and AJ and Dado set to resume battle. And Taipan's eyes will be open as well, as now he's battling for second instead of third like he was expecting to be. And Shads as well, if he can get himself into a groove and try and catch Squid. He got very close to Squid in the last race and almost got second place. Now this will be for first. It's a matter of these guys trying to get fast, consistent. Oh, that's a lot of curb use from Shads. I just saw that there. Monstered that curb and might have got himself a slowdown. Hard to say at this early stage. Looks like things have been pretty tame in this opening lap, with Squid a 1 second lead over Shads. Taipan got a terrible run through the slow second gear chicane. He's dropped back to 1.3 seconds behind Shads. AJ not too far back, he's only about 8/10 shy of Taipan at the moment. Well, that's actually ballooned out to 1.2. Looks like Taipan's got very good straight line speed. Dado bringing up the rear, but all is not lost. If he can start getting comfortable with this circuit, you could see him close right back up to AJ. But it will be a tall order. Everything is quite tame at the moment though, which is an interesting change. Last week the second race at Catalunya was a very hectic race. We had a 3-car battle for third place between Squid, Triple and Taipan. But everything is very settled. It looks like everyone wants to just try and get as fast a race time as possible to try and lock out the top 5 positions when we factor in the results from the second lobby, which is happening right now at the moment. Of course, the second lobby features drivers in the second half of the table, so on paper you would expect them to not be as quick. But we saw last week Dado Racer was in that second lobby and was a very quick driver in that second lobby. And in fact, he got himself into second place in the championship. So anything can happen, especially with Triple Rotor Racer in that second lobby. We've known him this year in particular. Had a solid showing in the Daytona 24 hour, as I said last week. And although he was slightly off the pace last week, he still had very good speed, and he'll be looking to capitalise on these guys' misfortunes if they occur, which it has occurred for a couple. Dark Racing and Chucky have missed out on this race, with Dark Racing having missed the previous race as well. There's 1 or 2 drop rounds for this championship. So it's not the end of the world if you miss a race. And we're just following Shads at the moment. It seems to me that the initial start phase of Shads' car is not very good, but once he gets up to speed, seems to pick it up a little bit. As I might have a look at Taipan, because AJ is actually following quite closely. Taipan might be having a few car issues, and AJ might have that car tuned perfectly or something. I'm not sure. Of course, remember at the start of last week, Taipan was the #1 ranked driver for ANZCRL, or Oz New Zealand Combined Racing League, to give the full title. I just saw Shads there. He's right up close to Squid now. Squid not quite comfortable in this car by the looks of it, and Shads' car is really singing. He's got a great run on Shads exiting the second gear chicane. Is he going to make a move? Nah, he's too far back. He'll just sit behind. Of course, not a bad idea as we approach this long run towards turn 1. If you stick in the slipstream, it could pull you close enough to have a look at turn 1. Although 6/10 is a lot of ground to make up in these cars. Fastest lap of the race for Shad so far, a 1:55.7. I want to say. I'll bring that up now, and no, fastest lap was actually by Squid, a 55.0. So Squid's actually made he said a quick lap on lap 2, but he's struggling at the moment, and Shads is on song now. And this could be an enthralling battle for the lead. These guys will be looking, or Squid in particular, will be looking to get his first win in the board for Oz New Zealand Combined Racing League. Shads, of course, won the Daytona 24 hour, so he's already won. He's already won so far this year. But he doesn't want to settle for one win. He wants multiple wins. He wants championships. Probably not quite going to get the championship in this championship unless Chuck Racing has more issues like he's had in this race. But he's putting a lot of pressure on Squid, and he's already made a mistake by the looks of it so far. Not quite comfortable as Shads is using a lot of curb with that second chicane. Squid's run wide. Is that going to be a slowdown penalty for Squid? As that's a Shads has got to run. Squid did get the slowdown, and Shads is into the lead. As I was saying, Shads was close enough to cause a mistake from Squid, and that's exactly what happened. Now Squid needs to regroup and needs to get his head together if he wants to chase Shads back down for first place, I'm sorry. And I'm assuming it's going to be first, as these guys have been pretty quick all season long so far. This is the 4th race in the championship, or 4th round rather. And Shads is looking good. Shads is looking really good. As seeing Taipan with the it must be from qualifying. He had a mechanical fault, and that's what prevented him from doing the second races. Shads is actually gapped Squid now. He is at 2.3 seconds, so Squid is not comfortable in his car at the moment. We'll jump on the roof. We'll see how his car is handling. So it could be just a matter of trying to overdrive the car, and when you overdrive the car, you actually go slower than what you would otherwise if you're on its limit. Because each car does have a limit that you can drive to, and if you go over that limit, it could be a disaster. So through this chicane now, he seems to be carrying maybe a touch too much speed through that chicane. That's causing slowdowns, and slowdowns have absolutely killed Squid so far in this race. Oh, right on that curb. Oh, that car is dancing. He battled to pull it up then. This is not a very stable race car, which Shads appears to be. Run down to the finish line now. We'll see what these lap times are for Shads and Squid. Was Squid able to regroup after dropping the 2.3 seconds? He's done a 58.0. That was a very slow lap, but 3 seconds down on his fastest lap. And Shads has only done a 56.7, so he's not exactly pushing fastest lap of the race pace at the moment. So if Squid can regroup, he has a chance to catch back up. But he's got to get his head together. Through the second chicane now. Into this slow left-hand hairpin. I've seen some of the guys using first gear through here, which you don't normally use first gear in these cars because the gear ratios are so short. And if you lengthen the first gear, it could cost you a bit of acceleration, as looks like Squid is starting to gain on Shad. So after making a couple of mistakes in the early running, I reckon he's got his act together and starting to drive more consistently. Although I say that he's gone sideways through that double right-hander. He's right on the edge of disaster. A 1.4 second lead for Shads as we approach the end of lap 6. Taipan's got the red, so has he got a penalty or something? That could prove costly if he does. As Squid is now closing back up on Shads. So Squid's found that pace again. AJ's closing in on Taipan, so you've got two battles here for the podium positions. You've got Shads and Squid for the lead, and Taipan and AJ for third place. We're going to stick with this battle for the lead because, well, it's for the lead. Squid is back into the 55s and Shads has done the 57 flats, so these guys are both making slight mistakes. They're not major mistakes, but they're enough to give their opponent the upper hand. 5 laps to go as we approach the second chicane now. Can Shads regroup and build that gap back up, or is Squid just got too good of a race car? Because what a resurgence from Squid. It was down and it was almost looking down and out after costing himself first place on lap 3. Oh, very close for Squid now, right up under the rear wing of Shads. He's looking, he's darting left, he's darting right, he's trying to find an opening to get past. But it's almost looking as if first place is not where you want to be in this race. Oh, Squid is looking for a gap, can't quite find it. Can Squid get a good run through this chicane? And can he catch up to that 177 Ferrari of Shads? He's 5/10 off his personal best, Shads, which is a worrying sign considering his best is only a mid 55, I want to say. Squid's using more curb. In fact, he was a lot quicker through that final quarter than what Shads was. Used a lot more road. And Squid might be on to take the lead as we start lap 8. Into the slipstream goes Squid. He'll look for a move, maybe down the inside of turn 1, looking for the outside, is he? Oh, he pulled out of it. I thought he might have had a lunge, but he's just biding his time. Maybe we'll wait until the last sector as he doesn't want to give Shads the slipstream on the very last lap. As whoever leads, I reckon whoever leads on the last lap will win this race. Oh, Shads has made a mistake. He's run wide at that hairpin. They're now going side by side on the run to this fast left-hander. Who's going to hold on? Who's going to break the latest? Squid goes deep and Squid takes the lead. What a move from Squid. He made the most of the mistake from Shads. Shads ran a bit wide And now Squid's into the lead. Oh, sideways for Shad's on exit. That's going to cost him a bit of time. Not what he needs right now. The momentum of this race has changed dramatically now. And now Squid has built out a 7/10 lead already. See the gaps for the battle for third, and Taipan's actually built up a 2-second lead now. But Squid, with the 6/10 lead, runs very wide, and Shads has run to the grass there. He almost had that corner right, but there's, I think, a slight snap of oversteer that we couldn't quite pick up on the stream, but he would have felt it in the force feedback, and he had to correct it, and he ran wide and cost him a lot of time, because otherwise he would have had a brilliant run on Squid for first. 3 laps to go, and it's still all to play for. Although Squid with the upper hand, he's building up a margin. It's now 1 second the gap. But as we've seen so far, a couple of mistakes and everything can change. As looks sideways from Squid, he's pushing hard. He lost a couple of tenths there. It's now back to 7 tenths, 8 tenths, somewhere around there. The Shads will know, after seeing the delta drop, that he's not out of it if he can keep it clean. And Squid himself also has to keep it clean, keep it tidy, because as soon as you start pushing too hard, especially in these cars, that's when it all goes downhill. These guys look like, well, Squid looks like he has plenty of fuel, as does Shads. So fuel won't be an issue. That's very wide for Shads, and he could have a slowdown penalty heading into this second gear chicane at the back of the circuit. I'll be interested to see how slow he goes. How much of a gap can Squid build up? Shads is still going. In fact, he's close up to 4 tenths. Did Squid get a slowdown? This is very close. And into the last couple of corners, Squid's run wide. He missed the apex at the first of the double left-handers. And now into the straight, and Shad's not quite as quick as what he could have been. He could have had a great run on Squid, as Squid was really struggling. But instead, Squid's building up the margin. It's now over 6 tenths. Shads needs to get in that slipstream and try and close it in. But he can't quite do it. Not much slipstream effect around this in these cars rather. Two laps to go now, and it's a 6/10 lead between, or a 6/10 gap between Squid and Shads. Taipan is now 11.2 seconds behind these guys. AJ's found some dramas because he's now over 6 seconds behind Taipan, and Data Racing's having a race to forget. As Shads is 2 tenths quicker than his personal best first sector. So he's coming. And Squid has to match him. In fact, he is. It's now 8 tenths to the gap. So Squid's put together a brilliant first sector as well as we come through the double right-hander. Almost like the Degner's Suzuka. Got to get the car almost straight, and you can't go as quick through there as what you think you can, because you got to pull the car up for that tight right-hander. That's a lot of curve for Shads. A lot of curve for Shads. Did he get a slowdown for that? The gap is increasing, but not by much. In fact, Shads is 5 tenths up on his personal best lap. In fact, he might be looking to get the fastest lap of the race. Of course, that's set by Squid at the moment at 55 flat. In fact, that gap is now... Oh, Squid got very wide on exit. Is that gap going to drop? It is slowly. We're going to enter the last lap, and it's less than half a second between the top two cars. This is going to be a brilliant run to the end. Shads, not quite fastest lap of the race, but he is coming. The momentum of this race has changed once again. Oh, wide for Squid, exiting Tamburello. But it hasn't actually cost him too much time as they enter this second chicane. They both run pretty similar lines. In fact, Squid was actually quicker through there than Shads. Pulled out to 6/10 the gap. And that's what Squid will be looking for. Just pull out a margin here and there. Though Shads is very close to his personal best lap. So Squid's got to be on his A game. Because Shads is coming. Do this fast left-hander. And into the double right-handers now. Squid needs to be almost right on the edge. These guys have been doing qualifying laps for the last little bit. And this is very close now. It's 3/10 the gap now. Shads will be looking to get a good run through this chicane. A lot of curb use. He's got that car pointed. Has he got a run? Oh, it's going to be close. Squid will have to cover. Looks like he is covering. Down the inside, cuts the corner. Was there contact? I don't know. Did Squid get a slowdown for that? If he did, that could give Shads the win. But across the line, has Squid won it? We'll have to wait till see Shads crosses the line. Shads crosses the line first, and he has won it. He's won it by about probably 8/10 or something. What a race by these two. Taipan run to the line. A pretty solid race from him. Didn't quite have the pace of the first two, but he takes third place. AJ was right up behind Taipan at first, threatening to get a podium. Just lost a bit of pace at the end, but will hold on to get a solid fourth place. Of course, that is without knowledge of the results of the second lobby. To go to weebly.anzcrl.com, I think. Go to the official ANZCRL website to find the official results, which should be up later tonight. But in this lobby it was Squid with a 9/10 victory over Shads that went right down to the last couple of corners. Taipan finished in third with AJ finishing fourth. Dado Racer rounding out the five. Of course, Chuck Racing qualified on pole position but could not make the start. Had some, I guess he had a game failure or something, which is unfortunate. And Darky had connection problems all night tonight, and couldn't make either of the two races that were held tonight, which is a real shame as he was looking very good in the championship. But that's going to be it from me. Brilliant racing again tonight, as is always in ANZCRL. So if you did enjoy, do follow me on Twitter at _Sato15, as I'll let you know when the rest of the streams, where the rest of the streams are for this championship. This is the last stream for me for this championship at this stage, unless I am unable to return to league racing next week. So if you follow me on Twitter at _Sato15, I will update on when the stream for this championship will be. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the race, and have a good one. Goodbye.